Okay, today is day number 27, and we are just rolling right on through our journey of self-discovery for our journal challenge. And today we are going to talk about expectations. And so I've kind of mentioned this throughout the month and throughout the last couple of weeks about how expectations are, sorry, I'm trying to adjust this light, how expectations are premeditated resentments. And so I think we need to dig a little deeper into that concept as we go along. We've talked a lot about the people in our life, and we've done some discovery about, who we want to be and being better and cultivating certain things. And so that is why we're going to talk about expectations tonight. We only have about a week left of our journal challenge. So I think this is something that we definitely need to talk about before we end. So as you know, you can click the link and access the videos. They are now all uploaded on YouTube, so you don't have to scroll through the Facebook feed. And that way you can also get all of the questions to your inbox that I'm going to discuss every day and know what the topic or the word of the day is. Okay, so let's get right to it about expectations. So first, what we're going to do, we've been talking a lot about who we aspire to be and what we're trying to cultivate and nurture within ourselves. And so I ask you every day to look in, take some inventory, and see what decisions and choices that you've made thus far today. What have you done today to bring you closer to your best self? Are you making choices and deciding things that are in alignment with you, your values, your vision? Are you cultivating and nurturing the things within your tribe, in your community that you want to see? Are you around people that you aspire to be? And so when we think about expectations, hey, Veronica, when we think about expectations, we have to look at what is it that I'm expecting of other people? And also, what is it that I'm expecting of myself? So when I say expectations are premeditated resentments, that might sound a little weird. So I just want you to give some thought on any time you've had some resentments, or maybe you have some resentments now about someone or a situation. And most times you can take that resentment and trace it all the way back to an expectation. It's usually rooted in, I expected A, B, and C, and this did not happen. So now I'm mad. Now I'm pissed, or, I don't like you, or I don't appreciate, A, B, or C. And you can trace it back to an expectation. And so what I want you to start to do is, are you communicating expectations, and are they realistic expectations? Then I want you to look at, even if they are communicated, are we, condemning people for their imperfections, or condemning people when they don't, follow our program? Now, as you know, we have choices and we can choose, but the only people that we can change is ourselves. And so we always have to look in, and we don't have to be mistreated or anything like that. That's not what I'm communicating. But if you feel like something is out of alignment with the relationship that you have or a situation, then you have to make an adjustment. We talked about adjustments on day 4. You have to do that. Or you might have to, look at an obstacle that you might have in a relationship and take that as a time to use it as an opportunity. We talked about opportunities as well. I don't remember which day it was, but use it as an opportunity instead of looking at it as an obstacle, and, try to uncover some things that you haven't communicated, or maybe that have been misunderstood within that situation. So that is kind of going to bring us to our first journal question. Okay, I want you to examine your expectations of other people. Examine your expectations of other people, and also examine your expectations of yourself. Now, this isn't something you'll be able to do in, 2 minutes while we are, discussing this evening. But I do want you to give that some thought and think about, like I said, any type of resentments that you are feeling and any type of uneasiness that you might have, and trace that back to an expectation and start to see exactly what type of emotions and feelings that you have around that. Now, I also told you not to keep saying I feel some kind of way. I don't remember which video we talked about that, but stop saying you feel some kind of way. Just say how you feel. You have to learn how to start naming what your emotions are, especially if you have some resentments around something or some ill feelings in your heart towards someone, and you're telling a story and you say they did A, B, and C, and I feel some kind of way about it. No. How do you feel about it? Say exactly what you feel. Okay, so that's what we're going to examine on our first question for today. What are your expectations of others, and what are they of yourself? And also look at, are you expecting things of other people at a level or a standard that you don't even live up to? That's about being authentic, okay? Learn to be very, very, very authentic in your relationships. Stop expecting things of others that you don't expect of yourself, okay? Because that's not fair, okay? So look at that as well. And then the next question would be like, what imperfections are you condemning someone else for? Now, these are some things that might be hard for us to look at about ourselves, because we are all guilty, okay? And so we just want to look at, remember I've told you before, we are not looking at blind, we're just looking at where we are accountable, in different situations in our life. And when we can really take a hard look at why I feel the way that I do, whatever that feeling is, we can have some accountability around it, and we can start to heal in those areas instead of carrying this stuff around. When we talked about forgiveness, we talked a lot about that, about how forgiveness is for you. And if you're carrying around resentments for something, about an expectation that you set up, whether it was communicated or not, then you need to free yourself from that, which we know on day one, we talked about bondage. So this is kind of leading all the way back to day one when we're thinking about what our expectations are, okay? We also need to understand that no one person is ever going to offer all that we require, so to speak. No one person is ever going to be all that we require. That's why we have different people. When we think about some of your closest friends, and you don't have to have 20 friends. It could be 2 friends, people bring different things to the table. You might have someone who is just a super good listener, and you might have someone who can just give you that spot on advice. Tell you the truth in love. You might have someone else who, they are just a crybaby like you. You might need someone to just, cry with you, hold you, whatever it is. You might have someone who's just fun. They're never serious, but you want to just laugh and have a good time, and that's who you go to for that. And I think a lot of times when we are, in our stuff, we start to require so much out of one person, and it's just unrealistic, okay? Yes, it is okay to communicate to people what your feelings are and what you might expect. And actually, not only is it okay, it should be the rule, because you have to communicate your needs to people, because no one can read your mind. Another saying I said that we need to stop saying what's understood shouldn't have to be explained. Yes. Explain everything. Like, don't leave nothing out. That way you know that you explained it, because guess what? Maybe I don't understand. Okay, so we go through life and we walk through the world perceiving things based on our prior experiences, and knowing that you walk through the world differently than I do, you have to understand that I might not perceive it the way that you do, which that causes for us to have misunderstandings. And it's very, very difficult and awkward and hurtful at times when we have misunderstandings with the people that we love the most. And so that is why this expectation word has so many layers to it, because it really can, destroy and devastate. It can devastate your life actually, but it can devastate a bond that you have with someone. So that is why when we talked about communication, it goes right back to that. So we are or we should communicate our needs to other people. However, communicating something does not put the person in some type of binding spot to do what you say. All you're doing is letting it be known. And that is when people do that, then you give people permission, so to speak, to, okay, I agree or I don't disagree, and maybe you need to make an adjustment somewhere, or sometimes you just might need to make a clean cut, but just make sure that you're communicating, and make sure that you are also being mindful of letting another person be free in who they are, and letting them be the individual, and letting them walk on their own journey. So I had also kind of mentioned, I'm kind of looking at my notes, and I mentioned about in my notes about not forcing or imposing to people, and don't throw a temper tantrum. Don't throw a tantrum when things don't go your way. That's not cool. Just, take it in, take some inventory about where you're accountable, and maybe you might need to be the one that needs to make the adjustment. If you look in your life and all of your relationships are failing, and when I'm talking about relationships, I'm not just talking about, intimate relationships. I'm talking about, your friendships, your family, your friendships, your kinships, your professional relationships, any type of interaction. If there's always an issue, you are the common denominator. So you have to look in. Everybody is not crazy. Everybody, it's not something wrong with everyone. We all have to look at ourselves of where we are accountable when things go bad. And when we do that, we can all come to the table and have a discussion. This is about making sure that the people in your tribe have the same values as you do. And when you do that, and start to really take inventory of yourself and take inventory of everyone in your tribe, then it just makes cause for more peace, and it makes it easier to keep bonding and building with the people who you love and who you walk through life with. Okay. Take a look at your expectations and see if they are realistic when you examine them, and also look at, when you think about the people that you appreciate, make sure that you appreciate all of them, not just the parts that serve you. Okay. Some of this is centered in selfishness. Okay. Be mindful that you are appreciating the whole person with their imperfections, even because we have our own imperfections as well. And so make sure you're being mindful of that. Make sure, and it's just about acceptance. Okay, we talked about awareness one day, and then we talked about acceptance the next day. So when you have awareness around something, you can move into acceptance about it. Let's see. Oh, our affirmation for today. So our affirmation today is, I learn to accept my imperfections, and as I do that, I learn to lovingly accept the imperfections of others. I learn to accept my imperfections, and as I do that, I learn to lovingly accept the imperfections of others. When we are constantly looking at ourselves and seeing where we are falling short and where we can improve, and also I asked you on one day to talk about, what do you appreciate about yourself? We don't always look at ourselves to find, where we need to do better. Look at the parts of yourself that are amazing. Know what your worth is and the value that you bring. This isn't for you to, have, negative self-talk. This is for you to encourage and uplift yourself. But as you do that, as you love on yourself, you also have to be aware, of the other part. Where can I grow? What can I do better? And when you are able to do that, then you can take the people in your life and look at them in the same way. I love this about so-and-so. However, I also wish that we could, cultivate this area, nurture this area so our relationship can be better or our bond can be better. This is about, people who you value, okay? We've already talked about community and tribe and about assessing, do we need to, make some adjustments. We've already talked about boundaries. So that is why we can have a healthy conversation about what our expectations are about the people who we are bonding and building and walking through life with every day. Okay? That is all I have for you. I want to make sure I touched on everything. I took a lot of notes before I did this today because I thought it was a very important topic. Yeah, so that's all I have. Thank you for listening. We're on day 27. So we are about 4 days out from the end of our journey of self-discovery. I hope you've been writing in your journal. I am going to put the link out for all the videos that are all on YouTube, all 26 of them, and then I'll upload today's video tonight. So you can go back and check out a day that you missed, or if it was something that you really liked and want to hear again, or maybe you want to share it with someone. Now, when we share with others, don't share it in a way like being funny, like you need to hear this. Share it in a loving way. We've all been in situations where we felt like, I don't know, you could have been at church on a Sunday and heard a sermon. So need to be here to hear this. This is not what we're going to do. We're going to share lovingly to people so that we can all be on a little journey of self-discovery together. Okay? So I will see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being on this journey with me for the last 3 weeks. I really have so much gratitude for you. So, see you later. Bye.